When he woke up in the morning, he would say, I'm going to create a universe. I'm going to be God today.
Is there such a thing as reincarnation?
When it comes to aliens, there's some things I just can't tell you.
Isn't it one's purpose in life to find out these things?
Welcome, everyone. This is another episode of G.o.D. Garden of Doom presents the Book of Black. We've been on a hiatus for a while. PJ was celebrating the high holidays because although he's not a full Jew yet, he's still a better Jew than me, this full-blooded Jew. I didn't even know which high holidays. I know the high holidays, but then later on he's telling me about Sukkot, and then I'll talk to you after the holidays. And I'm thinking Christmas. He's like, no, Simchat Torah. And I don't even know what Simchat Torah is. I don't remember it. Sorry, not sorry. But we're back. Professor Dr. Black, you're here, the master of all. How are you? Good seeing you.
Doing fantastic. Let me go ahead and just introduce our guest. This is EC3, very good friend of mine. When I came to the US 14 years ago now, wow, that's he was one of the first people I met, and we've been friends ever since. There might be some... Actually, I got here just before Halloween, and that was an experience for me because I've never experienced anything like that because we don't celebrate Halloween in Africa or Europe. And there's some pictures floating around of me and EC3 dressed up, and it's if anyone's listening to this, you definitely want to go find that. It's hilarious.
No, when you post about this, I'm going to find the picture. That's one thing, harkening back to a lot of people in my life. But somebody like, dude, a girl I almost married, right? She was there, and we're still very cordial and friends. But if I say the word cheesy poofs, she's thinking of you, and she's talking about that picture. So
picture, same.
Sort of bootleg South African accent. We can post cheesy poofs. So, yeah, man, wow, we've known each other way too long to be this young still. I mean, it's
right.
12 to 14 years, but I mean, I feel like it's only been 4 to 6. I don't count pandemic years. They're not real. And then time itself, I mean, I'm sure we can get into that. Time itself, I mean, is it even real? How do you even judge it?
That's funny you say that because this is a podcast on occult stuff, right? So it's esoteric, beneath the surface. And that subject comes up a lot, like linear time. Is it real? Like that's something we can debate and talk about for hours. But let's get a starting point here. Where are we going to start? I mean, the last time, right before the pandemic, we were in a car driving to an ROH show. And that's when the Epstein stuff came out. And just off air right now, you said, oh yeah, that's before it was real, and now it's real. Or we can start at Antarctica, wherever you want, Mike. EC3,
Either way, my Christian is Michael, but EC3 is the brand, as we talked about. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about that. I believe that was during the pandemic. That's when I was in Ring of Honor, but that was kind of like to all the weird culture, world, everything blowing up in front of our faces. Is it a red pill? Was it a black pill? Was it a white pill? It certainly wasn't a blue pill, but I think I took at least 3 pills. And then that's when it started coming. And then it's something you've been on the forefront since I've known you, especially you and Wyndham and Bo. Like we're always and like listening to you guys talk. I'm like, these dudes are fucking crazy. I love them, but they're nuts. And then it's funny because, we were talking about the Epstein stuff before it was a thing. And it reminds me of that phrase where it's like conspiracy theories tend to turn out to be true, or there is no such thing as a conspiracy theory because everything has been right thus far, or at least 88% of it, dare I say. But yeah, driving in that, and you will always open my eyes to things deeper because I will say I have a basic algorithmic knowledge of everything we could talk about, like brief hits that like pop up, and you study the shit. Like you're in deep. You're into books and candlelight and wizardry and magic, and hopefully not the dark arts because they're evil. But real fast, did you convert to Judaism since I last talked to you?
Oh yeah, well we'll get into that some other time. My wife to be is Jewish. I don't know if I've even told you any of those stories yet. So full on celebrating all the holidays. It's I'm actually learning Hebrew right now. So, I already speak 3 languages. I'm learning 2 more. I figured Hebrew, I might as well learn that because everybody, all our friends just speak Hebrew whenever we go out. So basically just learning the alphabet right now because it's funny because it's all these like squigglies and it's back to front. So it's like learning not even a new language. It's like learning a new life almost, for lack of a better term. But yeah, and you know what? It's funny you say that, but I wasn't always like that. I wasn't always. I mean, I always knew that things were bullshit. You know, my dad was a pro wrestler, and ever since I was a kid, he goes, "Look, everything is bullshit. All sports are rigged." And I was like, come on, you know, like I'm a big rugby fan. I was like, there's no way they're going to rig the rugby or baseball or football. And till this day, I still don't know how he did it, but he gave me the Wimbledon final scores. And it turned out exactly like that. I remember living in London. I put 50 pounds on it, and it happened just like that. And it blew my mind. I was like, how did he know? Did he pre-record it and showed me that? I couldn't figure it out. And then as life progressed and as things happened, I realized I was like, okay, everything is bullshit. Everything is bullshit. And then when COVID hit, I was like, okay, all this stuff is at work. Everything is at work. I don't own a TV. So when we were locked down in our freaking apartments, I think I read 93 books in that year that we were locked down. So that's where a lot of my I guess research comes from. But honestly, I hate this term, but like downloads, but I meditate a lot, and I take some psychedelics, and I just sit in a dark room, and all these things just come to me, and it's just like, wow, that makes so much sense. And that's even before Wyndham used to talk about this stuff. Bray Wyatt used to talk about this stuff all the time, and I remember sitting on a plane next to him on our way to Belgium, and he was telling me about lizard people, and he goes, "Listen, just listen to this guy with an open mind." And that was that David Icke dude. And I was just like, I looked at him, I was like, oh, this dude's a quack. Turns out years later, this guy was correct about everything.
Man, that's reading those books. That's super impressive. Like, kind of not envious, but I should follow your lead more, because like a meditative state is something I seek sometimes. That spiritual realm, I seek it sometimes, but I don't commit to doing it. So just based on this conversation, even when you texted to me today, I was looking for something outside the box to talk about, to kind of re-inspire me in any sort of different way. So that will be one of them. And although I don't delve into the psychedelics too much, I actually had a question about them, because I've had nerve issues, and I was doing some research, and it seems that can help reinvigorate maybe dead or dormant nerves. Is that anything you would know about?
Yes. And as you know, the doctor will prescribe something for you when we're off air. But yeah, I can definitely help you with that.
Awesome. Yeah. It's my neck's killing me. And then I got this like atrophy developed. And dude, if my body isn't 100%, my vanity isn't at maximum capacity, I'm a lost cause. Like if I'm dialed in, everything else falls into place. If I'm not, I'm a fucking train wreck.
Well, we should come up with something like, PJ, by the end of the show, maybe you should come up with like 5 books that you recommend that EC3 read. I'm going to give you an easy one. Not that the book is easy, but because it's on Audible and it's free on Audible. So you do the 30-day trial, you can use your free credit for another book. And it's called The Secret History of the World by Mark Booth. Someplace it's published by under John Black, because probably trademark stuff. Anyway, he's been on Garden of Doom, and the show is brilliant, but basically he tries to take all of the esoteric aspects and all of the mystery schools and puts them together in a linear way, but it's not exactly linear. Like, he puts the characters and the myth, the philosophy, and like the zodiac sign together, but it's not like he starts with Genesis and goes forward. It's more complicated than that, because of what the secret schools teach you about these things, how they go together. I listened to it twice. The first time I understand the first half. The second time I feel like I got about half of the second half also, and I need to listen to it again. But he's writing a second book too. But it's a great listen, and I don't know. It's like, it's basically like you're getting Helena Blavatsky and Steiner and Crowley, all in one. Rosicrucians, you name it. Anyway, I
love Cliff Notes, and I love bits, because say Nietzsche, for example, I like a lot of the stuff he reads, but then I'm sitting there reading Thus Spoke Zarathustra. I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck is happening? So if something's condensed, and then I can get a broad overseeing knowledge of it, I can then therefore take it and delve more deeper into the stuff that really calls to me, but at least have a basis on the stuff that is like cool and relevant to know. So
that's what podcasts are. I just don't know. I mean, I could sell you on mine. It's free, it's easy, and then if you find you listen to the right guests and topics that interest you, then all the whole home runs, but a lot of them are. But there's lots of podcasts that go into this, and but they're sort of all the same. So I don't know. Anyway, it's Garden of Doom, easier. Plus, you'll get a link to this.
I did do stem cells, but I've only done them in the US. So I think when you go overseas or to Mexico where you get like the 8 billion, I'm looking into doing that too. So
okay, so in the US, the FDA hasn't pushed through stem cells. What they do is here they just sell you PRP and they sell it as stem cells. I just got back from Mexico last weekend, injected my knee, got the IV. I think I had 600 million cells done. And within 2 days, dude, my knee was perfectly fine. I have no pain. Also, that weird nagging, pulling feeling is just completely gone. The doctor said I'll only really get results after 6 weeks, but I felt it in the first week. I'll give you his details. It's Puerto Vallarta. It's a 2-hour direct flight from LAX. It's super easy. You stay in the doctor's penthouse on the beach. It's beautiful. I'll hook you up with all that stuff. That's
you help the boys up a little bit.
Yeah. If you just don't be friends with me, he'll hook it up, and he only does fighters. And he's best friends with Ronnie Coleman. So Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, all those boys go there.
It's good enough for Ronnie and Jay. It's good enough for EC3.
Exactly.
All right. Well, you're a 1%er, so you should know about all the elite stuff.
Well, I was at one point. That was former ARC, but the pandemic kind of killed the 1%er. So I'm rolling with the Overman now. So if you're not familiar with what we're doing in NWA, my shit's awesome. NWA is cool on the rise, but like everything, there's so much wrestling. We don't need to talk about wrestling. But what we did over there is all the brief knowledge I kind of talked about, parlay that into sort of the Overman, EC3 being an Overman, which is, I don't know, simple sell is like he thinks he's Superman, but he's really Homeland. So it's cool.
Yeah, that's fine. I actually am familiar with the Overman. I do stick my nose in NWA. I'm curious, but you don't know the answer to this, and even if you did, you couldn't tell me. But I don't know why the choice was X over YouTube. I'm sure there's either an exposure or a monetary reason for it. Probably the exposure.
I don't want to speak out of turn, but I do like one thing that YouTube has done is kind of like hammered wrestling content.
Mm-hmm.
They're like very much as far as the monetization taking away from it. I think X was a platform to be a temporary home for what will be a far bigger play. More details to come that I can't speak about, but it was kind of putting it there to not relegate back to what was done, but then keep it out there until what is next hopefully takes place.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely pulling it. I historically, I love NWA and I want NWA to succeed. But again, we listen. We can talk about wrestling. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that it's we want the wrestlers to have freedom from talking about wrestling, talking about other things that they're cool. But there was one thing that we talked about in pre-production. So I had asked you before we were on, and you said, well, let's save that for the show. So everyone who listens, except for people who are new because of EC3, I'm a lawyer in real life and we do, trademarks and things like that. So I was going back to, I watched EC3 like probably most of you did in TNA Impact. He was the champion there. I saw his last match. I saw him then go to WWE, where, the correct use of the term buried was applied to him. He never really got a shot. Buried isn't that you're on TV every week and you lose, that you're on 3 times a month and you lose. Buried is when we almost never see you. And then when you do, you barely get a shot. So he really got. So anyway, that's not particularly important to this. Well, it is because, there were a bunch of releases. And one of the things I noticed is that, it was a little bit later, but Keith Lee also got his release. And I know that Keith Lee was in the process of owning his own trademark, his own name. And I imagine that that's something that Vince doesn't love. I distinguished AJ Styles and Samoa Joe from that because they both owned their own name way before they got there. And, they were sort of already 20-year veterans before they got into WWE. And then I saw that EC3, that either you owned your own trademark right before you signed or right after you signed, it happened. And I was wondering if your ownership of your trademark and them wanting some deal with you or that you to turn it over to them or some sort of consent or whatnot, if that played some factor in sort of what didn't happen to you there, which was a real opportunity.
Yeah, I think it's actually probably a two-front tale. One being when they're looking for reasons to not like you, and there's one they can add that could probably play into it, but I don't think it's going to be the main reason. But I remember I secured the trademark on my way out of Impact when I was like kind of with Impact, and then I just showed up at NXT. So in that time frame, I secured it. And when I was signing with the WWE, they were like myself and Ricochet and War Machine, Ray Rowe and Eric. who became the Vikings and the War Raiders, whatever. Like we all came in at the same time, and they couldn't use war in the names because of the TV PG. So that's why that got changed over. But I remember specifically Ricochet and I talking to him. They're like, well, think about changing your name. Do you have any ideas? I'm like, this would suck because we built this brand for so long. It's known. It's easy to chant. It's going to look good on a shirt. It has 3 letters. Like, I'm not totally against it. And maybe I should have. Maybe I should have came outside the box with something completely different as opposed to trying to rehash the past and do what worked elsewhere that wasn't somebody's idea there. So that's probably a creative mistake on my part, not playing ball. But at the time, it felt like this makes sense for business, and it wasn't a pressing need to change it because Ricochet stayed Ricochet. But I remember, so we're thinking about changing your name. Can you think of anything? I went, yeah, I'll have you a list of names. Like, okay, great. And I just came up with the shittiest possible names that started with E and had C in it. So it was like Edgar Crushington, like Egon Calhoun. And then like one was just Ed Crap. Like I just gave them like 10 names that were EC. So then they were just like, all right, fuck off, whatever. We'll keep it, fine. But then I thought at the same time, like if I gave them, I'm lucky, Ed Crap might have been good. But if I gave them such bad options, it wasn't a hill they were going to die on. But then come around getting called up to the main roster, and I think PJ could probably attest for Vince's psychopathic insanity, narcissism, and general tomfoolery more than I can. He had more experiences with them. But I think when he will tell you this too, it's like if something happens at first and like you are just dead in the water, or he's not going to like you for some sort of thing or some issue, which we can delve into possibly a couple. But then when he can't own it either, it's like, well, what's the point? The dude is a very much territorial guy who likes to own people's rights, their trademarks, their IP, probably their fucking souls. So that probably played, I don't think it was a deciding factor, but it was definitely not like a check in the right box.
Understood. All right. Well, thank you for that. I mean, I think that was, it's something I find interesting. I hope that anyone listening to it finds it interesting as well. But I think people always want to hear a little bit of inside baseball and wrestling.
Yeah, I don't mind. I'd shoot some dirt, you know?
Yeah.
But if in hindsight, if I came, because I had an idea for a character that eventually became what the Control Your Narrative version of me was, I should have came out of the box with it, I think. I mean, I don't live in regret or what if past, but like you can't, like Great Gatsby, dude, you can't repeat the past. And then maybe I'm thinking like Gatsby, I'm like, well, sure you can. Because this shit worked up there and all we need is the platform. But again, PJ would tell you too, like if it's not somebody's idea that somebody's advocating for it or somebody can honestly take credit for creating it, nobody's going to push it forward. So when you've created your own kind of self and brand that's already over, nobody's dying to get you to the next level because they don't gain anything from it.
Well, they tried to sort of create their own sort of discount, Control Your Narrative with Retribution, which was a gigantic flop.
Oh my God. Underground? Like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? That was a blatant ripoff of what me and the fucking dudes and some cameras did in the goddamn fucking pandemic. But whatever.
I remember the black and white with the barbed wire. I remember all of it. Yeah. I mean, you and Cross did like wonderful like mini movies. I mean, not together, but it was amazing.
Have you had Cross on here, or you can't probably?
I'd love to. That's PJ's the booker. He's and I don't know what the process is with WWE and all of that stuff.
Ross is one guy that like I never met a lot, but like we seemed very like-minded. We started talking and stuff like that. And then when I got together to like we do the little bit with the CYN thing and stuff like that, just sitting there and talking to him, and I'm like looking at kind of I don't want to say a version of myself, but there's a lot of parallels with a lot of like differences. I'm hearing him talk and I'm like, fuck, I think this dude's smarter than me. And it fucking pissed me off. This guy's fucking good.
Permission to be petty for a second.
By all means.
All right. So this show runs on something called the Wrestling Soup Network. Wrestling Soup is one of the biggest private wrestling podcasts, and they're very kind to let, my other shows, which have nothing to do with wrestling. And this, no one saw this happening except maybe me. But even that, I didn't foresee it until maybe 2.5 years ago. But Kevin Castle is part of the Wrestling Soup family, and Kevin Castle is part of the DTKC show, and he's also on Wrestling Soup and whatever. But Kevin is friends with Kevin. So Kevin Castle is friends with Kevin Cross. So I would really love to have Kevin Cross on the show before Kevin Castle gets on the show, because that would be like a giant, friendly dunk on a friend. But, in the network, Kevin Castle's the big deal. He's the OG. I mean, he's 5 months older than me, but he's the OG in podcast world. So anyway, I want to be a little petty. Anyway, forget about all that stuff. Let's talk about how did you guys predict Epstein Island before there was an Epstein Island?
PJ could I'm very good at recollection when the story gets told. So if he can jump in.
Wow. Where do we start? I mean, the guy died in prison. Coincidentally, there was no guard at the time. All the cameras were deleted. I mean, there's just so many coincidences in life, right? Like, come on. Like, man, they really think people are stupid, and it's.
What upsets me the most about that is like everybody, even the most normal civilian, kind of like doesn't care about any of the shit that's going on, knows that isn't what happened. But what upsets me is like nobody's done anything about it. There's never been like this dire need for answers.
And they never will. And I'll tell you why. So that if that list comes out, everything in the West collapses, right? Because every single talking head that you see on TV, whether he's on the news or Hollywood or politics, they were all on that list. So it'll never happen. It's
not just the list.
I know people want it to happen, but it's just not going to happen. I mean,
Pink is nonpartisan.
What's that?
Pink is nonpartisan. This was a money thing. This was you got your jollies in like international water on a private island. There's no loss.
Yeah.
That's what those guys do, right? So he ran the ring, the sex traffic, whatever you want to call it. So what they do is they get like politicians and Hollywood people, and they get them to invite them to these parties, and they record them doing stupid shit, and they blackmail them. That's what it is. I mean, that's a very well known tactic in life, and that's what politicians do. They just blackmail each other, and like every single talking head that you see on TV was in on that stuff. What gets me is there's so many girls that came out and said exactly what happened. They went to the island, they found all the secret rooms, they found a lot of this stuff. But again, nothing is happening. Like the guy had like unlimited money. Nobody knows where he got his money from. He, the story goes way, way back to there's a whole year or 10 years of his life that was scrapped from the internet, where him and Bill Gates like started a company. There's actually a wonderful researcher slash podcast, I don't know what you call it. I read her books too, and this shit blew me out of the water. That's the stuff that I thought I knew. This blows it out of the water. Her name is Whitney Webb. Just Google her name into YouTube and get some of the clips, because like the books are like really long form, but just watch any of her podcasts. And she started digging to see what was kind of happening, but she in turn she uncovered that whole story, dude. It's I won't give you away too much. It's gonna really upset you, but
and like so when where citizens have become the journalists, because every media outlet's just been a fucking bold-faced lie since, I don't know, probably 2001, but probably even before then. But it's like getting to this point, like when you say the entire West collapses, is that a good thing? Like if the whole fabric of our like society kind of like had this giant realization of true horrors and evil, like would we be better off? Or is having the veil over us a little bit, even though we kind of know but we don't really know, is that keep us where we should be? And life's probably pretty prosperous how it is.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it can go either way, but I mean, we're in the age of awakening, if you believe in all that stuff, right? So all these things to a certain degree are going to come out. I don't think the real stories of this will ever come out. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong on that. We'll see. But if you study history, you look at these cycles, right? Everything, history always repeats. There's just cycles over and over and over, and these things happen all the time. It's like the fall of Rome. I feel like America is just like the new Rome, right? That's where we are right now. So when the government starts making up all these ridiculous laws, that's usually when an empire starts falling, right? And like look at the last few years, all this crazy shit that has come out, and I think it's a really exciting time to be alive. I mean, we get to witness all these things real hand, and it's gonna get a little bit crazier before it gets better. Some people are gonna go lose their shit, right? I'm looking online right now, right after the election, like all these Democrats are like freaking out because Trump won, and then 4 years from now the other guy will win again, and those those guys will be mad. It's like a pendulum. It's kind of, that's just how they keep us out the loop, right? It's like Caesar said this, it's bread, give them bread and circus and they'll never revolt. That's why all these distractions, like that's why we have all these distractions. I mean, look, since the lockdowns, how many shitty distractions has there been? Then it's this, and then it's Diddy, and then it's like this guy, and then it's like there's like 100 new Netflix shows this week that we have to watch. We'll always just be busy doing something else, so we don't notice this shit.
Who would be the I guess for both of you, the person on that list that would shock or like upset your nostalgia or your human ties to whatever, maybe sort of fiction or something? Because like before we jumped on there, I don't know, for some reason I wanted to watch the original Star Wars again, so I was watching that and I'm like, you know what, maybe the prequels aren't as bad as I think they were. So I just had the Phantom Menace on. I'm like, man, Ewan McGregor is fucking cool. I like Ewan McGregor. He's a good actor. He seems like he's into it. And like, damn, if Ewan McGregor was on the list, like, would that ruin that movie for me forever? Would that ruin everything he's ever done? I'm just trying to think of like who the biggest person. People would say Tom Hanks because he portrayed what he's portrayed for so long. But now we're all kind of like, expect him to be on it. So I'm just kind of thinking what outside the box wild card that would be on that list that would like change your fucking brain.
I mean, no doubt, like every single person will have someone like that, right, on this planet, because there's always someone that we look up to. There's a lot of stuff that was scrapped from the internet too. Apparently Epstein had a house at the Vatican City with underground tunnels to the Pope. So, I mean, that's going to upset a lot of people, like we had, Idol on here, and he's a big Christian, and he loves the Pope. So I mean, stuff like that, it's gonna really upset him. Remember when you were young and like when we still kind of thought wrestling was real, and you're the biggest baby face when he turned heel. Like imagine, think back when Hogan turned heel. It was like such a
hold on a second there. He is with NWA and it's still real to him. All right. In answering your question, I think it's a great question and it's really hard. I mean, Tom Hanks did come to mind. But like someone who presents themselves as very moral, and whether you like their politics or not, I think I would be equally disappointed if it was George W. Bush or Barack Obama. I mean, because both of them, whether you like their politics or not, they've been in the same marriage as long, and you believe that they're both church-going, God-fearing, moral people. Whether you agree with their decisions or not, or their philosophies is different. But that I think would shock me to the core. But they're also both in that, those echelons where, they're certainly Bushes would have been invited to, Epstein Island, or if they were interested. And of course, the Obamas can go anywhere. I mean, they're royalty. I mean, if like Nelson Mandela was on there, aside from the fact that now he's passed and he was like 93 when he died, but if Nelson Mandela was on there, I think that would be fairly crushing as well. Like the Dalai Lama. I mean,
Yeah, I just watched 7 Years in Tibet too, man. That would blow my mind. I think it was like a current political thing. RFK being on it would really be like, no, just because I love what he's doing with like the health and kind of combating that stuff.
Oh, I fully expect him to have been.
I know he's got it for sure. He's a candidate, So then you have to wonder, is like, all right, Elon and Doge and Vivek, and if they're doing all this sort of like off the books, blowing the fucking system up, possibly, does that come out? And then are they going to have that predicament where they have to protect it to keep whatever else part of the agenda and the administration needs to stay intact? So that's why when PJ says it's never going to come out, it's probably right.
The weirdest thing, and I'll hand it over to PJ because he's been too quiet. And while he says he's the co-host, he's the host of this show. I'm the co-host. I'm the Robin Quivers. I always mispronounce the name, but Ghislaine Maxwell has not been unlived. She is in a federal prison. Why hasn't the stuff come out? Why? I mean, there's a prosecution. I know there's sales. She's got defense attorneys. I mean, what is going? I mean, I know what you're going to say is that they've all agreed to keep it under wraps because too many people would, be destroyed, and our whole system of the world. I'm not sure it's limited to the West. I think that Putin's been there, and Russian oligarchs and Chinese oligarchs and Japanese, Korean, so what have you. I think it's east, west, north, and south. Santa might be on the goddamn list. But I mean, why do you think in more detail than what I just said, that why nothing's come. I mean, no one's even asking about Ghislaine Maxwell or however you pronounce her name is.
Yeah, I mean, who's that comedian? George Carlin that said, "It's one big club and you ain't in it." You know, like every single talking head on TV. I mean, you can also do the research. I mean, this stuff it's not hard to find, but like, you know, a lot of people when they hear these things, they kind of just want to get on with life and like, oh, I don't want to hear about that. It goes. Look at the prison that Ghislaine is in, right? It's the same prison that a lot of elites go to. Recently, SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried, the CEO of FTX, who turned out to be a money laundering company for the Democrats. They all go to the same prison, which is just like they call it a Swedish prison, right? It's just a house. It's like being under house arrest. It's like staying in a 5-star hotel. And you can go look this up too. Like, you know, prisons are also, it's privatized in the US, right? It's a big business. So these guys, they run everything. They run the show. So they make sure their buddies go to their prison, which is just like a hotel. That's probably where Diddy's going to go to, you know, it's part of the show. They have to show us like, look, they're doing something, but they'll never do anything about this. It's pro wrestling. The world is a stage and everything you see on TV is bullshit. I know that doesn't really answer your question. And I mean, we can hope. And now with social media and with a lot of decentralized social media platforms coming out, I hope that more of these things gets posted. You know, like they try to take away free speech. I mean, this is America. This is why I came here, right? This is I fully believe in the amendments. Is that how you say them? Like,
Yeah, Bill rights, amendments. Yeah, man.
yeah. I mean,
Maybe.
maybe. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. Like, I really hope that this stuff comes out, but I don't think we'll get the full extent. Like let's take the Diddy case, for example, right? That's just a distraction. Whenever something like that happens, in that world, they call that a sacrifice. So they have to sacrifice Diddy. It's like magic, right? It's like, look over here while we do all this stuff over here. So now everyone's already forgot about Ghislaine. Next year, they'll have to sacrifice somebody else and everybody will forget about Diddy again. It's just like give them bread and circus. They'll just keep us distracted all the time. But you know, there's a lot of people like that. Whitney Webb, she wrote a book and she's doing all these podcasts, and there's a lot of other guys. There was a guy on TikTok he actually rented a boat and went to that island. He went into all these secret rooms and like he did, obviously all his shit got scrapped off the internet. They banned him off TikTok, banned him off YouTube, but you can still find some of the clips on there. And, you know, like we're in the age of awakening, if you believe all that stuff. So if more and more people just do that and keep posting it and putting it into the collective consciousness, then we'll make some waves, but we'll never get the real stories. I don't think. Even if something happens and it goes down, the list will be edited. They're never going to give us the full list.
Redacted.
Yeah. And, you know, like it's the Diddy stuff too. Like the stuff that they tell us and what's on TV and what's on the surface, that is not at all what happened. Like, I've been to those things. I'm really ashamed to say that, but I've seen all these things, and when I tell people, they never believe. You know, it's like when Wyndham told me that stuff for the first time, I was like, "There's no way." And sometimes I tell people these things, and you get that deer in headlights look where people are just like, he's crazy, or actually, I just don't give a shit. Just next.
Or we'll just shit. He's onto something. I don't know. Call him a fascist or a racist, or call him some sort of phobe, right? Like all that sort of like slander and terminology gets thrown at anybody trying to like break open any semblance of truth that has nothing to do with it. But I feel like we're at a point those don't have power anymore, those words. And I feel like maybe at a point too where anybody that's brave or courageous enough to kind of stand and say something doesn't care that that's said about them because they know it's bullshit. So,
Interesting. Overman, I'm going to throw this one to you. In this age where everybody wants to be famous, and we're as much as there is, a lot of a blanket over everything, we do have Julian Assange. There was Edward Snowden. I forget the soldier who was a guy, now he's a woman, that released a lot of papers and all that. So there is disclosure. And in all of the journalists who got taken down sort of in the speaking out, that one of them wouldn't just own it. Like they couldn't all be Andrew Cuomo and Tucker Carlson and like land these, great gigs in a newer network. Somebody's on the outside looking in, and, and maybe they were involved in it. And like, why wouldn't they just own it? Say, I sinned. I come at you with dirty hands, but I'm spilling and become like this, hero. for no other reason other than to make millions upon millions of dollars. And nobody's done that. And I find that to be really strange, except that it's not so strange if you are afraid of being taken out by a silencer at 1,500 yards.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I was just watching Black Mass the other day with Johnny Depp and becoming an informant to the FBI, like the rat or the snitch. Why hasn't at least one person? That's a good question, because you think there would be at least one.
Well, you can go look these things up. Every time something comes out, that guy just gets ixnayed. I mean, there's a whole list of, take this as a conspiracy theory if you want, but every single time remember when the Hillary Clinton emails came out, that stuff is all on WikiLeaks, by the way. All this info is on WikiLeaks. You can get all this stuff on WikiLeaks, by the way. All this stuff is there, but every single time someone comes out and pushes it further, something happens. I mean, look at all these bankers from 2008, all these guys manipulating Wall Street and the gold price, and not one of them went to jail. You know, there's this guy Edward Snowden, and who was the other guy that ran Silk Road? These guys are in prison for life for writing code, for writing a website. So it's like what's it saying? Rules for thee, but not for me. These guys, the elites, or the 1%, the 1% of the 1%, these guys don't have the same rules as us. You know, they can just literally get away with murder.
Okay, first of all, you just said rules, like the guy from Rolling Writer.
I will rule you.
Yeah, sounds like an elite kind of accent to me.
Damn, it's like if George Washington's on that list, that's going to really tick me off. My heart will break.
Yeah, but kudos to him at 300 years old.
Yeah.
Respect.
Man, those wooden teeth got some work. They did some
Yeah, we should all get
man,
wooden
like,
teeth.
yeah. Teddy Roosevelt was on that list. Oh no. JFK.
Here's my little conspiracy theory. You know how all like these Russian oligarchs, they all like, die in their bathtub or in the swimming pool or like out of the fifth story of hotels. There's been like 12 of them who have been unalived in the last 3 or 4 years. Maybe they all are against the Ukraine war, but maybe, just maybe, they also were part of the parties and they were going to, spill the stuff on Putin and other people. Because just being against the war in Ukraine and Russia doesn't seem like something where you need to be unlived. I mean, it's a one-man show there. So I'll go with that. I'll go with that conspiracy that maybe they tried, and every time someone ruffles the feathers, another guy falls out of his vacation hotel.
I went to go see Creed last weekend with some buddies, right? Same age, grew up together. And we had a kid drive us, this kid that was training under us, who was, I guess you'd say Gen Z, is like 24 and whatever. I'm cracking claws and I'm, two shits to the wind. But we're talking on the way back, and he's our DD. And then Linkin Park came on, and I went, Chester Bennington didn't kill himself. And I had the guys that are my age, father of two, successful businessman and entrepreneur, and then a dude that's worked whatever normal jobs forever. They had no idea what I was saying, but the kid looks over at me. He goes, I know what you're talking about. And so I'm wondering if there's like a generational gap, or if our generation maybe has been lied to for too long, or maybe the younger generation is getting so much information. Whether it's true or not, we don't know, but maybe they're more attuned to finding the truth, or at least finding contrary beliefs.
And the internet is available to everybody these days, right? So someone tells you something. I see my little cousins. I tell him something, and he's like, and Googles it, reads up a little bit, da-da-da-da-da-da. But I mean, it's so hard too, because you can clearly see when they scrap something off the internet, when it's there and it's not there the next day, or when you Google something, you have to go through like the 5th, 6th, 7th page to get what you want, because they push certain information to the top, especially ads that nobody cares about. I think all these things change when we're in the fourth turning. I don't know. That's a great book you want to read.
Yeah,
Fourth Turning, fantastic book. And that's the kind of cycle that we're in right now, right? So now with all these decentralized technologies and the internet and cryptocurrencies, and we're in the age of Aquarius. So, I mean, a lot of these things will come out, but I think it's going to be so overwhelming for a lot of the younger generation that they'll just be like, fuck, just leave me alone so I can get on with life. So even if the stuff comes out, they're just going to be like, whatever. I just want to go to work and go to the gym, whatever, whatever, go out on the weekend, whatever.
It'd be cool is not being in debt for a college education that got me nothing, and maybe being able to buy a house. That's probably what they care about.
Hey, have you ever been to the website WTF happened in 1971.com? What the fuck happened in 1971.com? So that's when Nixon took us off the gold standard, and that's when everything happened. That's when debt started getting out of control. That's like obesity out of control, like dementia, every single problem that we face today started in 1971, and they have charts for everything. Go to their website. It's fascinating. And you can see like where even like productivity, right? Productivity has literally doubled, but like wages have kind of like stayed the same. Like think about this too. In the 70s, you can be a fireman and with 5 kids, and you can have a house paid off in like 3, 4, 5 years max.
2 cars probably. Well,
Now
hospital every night, right? Yeah. Like a good house. Fuck. I want to be a fireman in 1970. I don't want to be a pro wrestler in 2024. Sounds like a way better life.
Right. But we live in a great era. I mean, we have technology, and what's that saying? Be the change that you want to see in the world. So I think if it starts with us, if we just do these things every single day that we want to see change, and talk to this younger generation and kind of like educate them, I feel like it'll change. I definitely do. I feel it in my bones. I think it might be a while though. Like I said, it's gonna probably get worse before it gets better. But I definitely think in our lifetime we'll see a massive change in this planet. I'm a tech guy, right? I'm a futurist, and people always think like, oh, you're a future, you predict the future. That's not really how it works, right? I kind of like in 1997 when the internet came out, I was banging the table. I was telling people that we're gonna talk to each other like this on FaceTime. I didn't call it that, but like I could see the trends where it's going. And in the technology, like the charts that you see on TradingView or whatever, it's called an S curve. So it takes 10 years for that first dip to go, and then the next 10 years it jumps up. So if you follow that, I mean, it doesn't always happen exactly, but our technology in the next 10 years is supposed to jump forward 100 years. And I can see a lot of these things happening. I just bought a Tesla last week, and it's got self-driving, and it's insane how smart and how accurate it is, because it's satellites, right? So it can predict 2-3 miles ahead of me how that guy is driving, and it kind of like calculates a better way and a better route. It's just fantastic. I cannot believe how good this smart driving is. I feel like we'll see flying cars in our lifetime. It'll be like Jetsons stuff. So that's definitely something to look at. Technology move us forward really quickly. So hopefully with all that movement, a lot of these stuff that we talked about will come out too.
That frightens me so much, but I guess it's pretty cool. Do you think Elon Musk is the most important human being alive right now?
No, he's a grifter. He's from South Africa. He has all these stories about how he grew up poor. His family owns all the emerald mines. Also, all this bullshit of sending these rockets to space. Anybody that understands quantum physics know you don't travel to space with a rocket. It's just impossible. But you can build this at your home. Build a cage with a vacuum and trying to shoot a rocket in there. It doesn't go like this. It goes like when in a vacuum, you cannot control where it goes. And he knows this. If he knows this stuff, so all this stuff that he's putting out. I mean, I love Tesla and a lot of that stuff, but SpaceX, come on, that stuff is all just bullshit.
Wow, I had no idea. That might be another conversation to have. But this was cool because, like, I don't know these things. Like I said, I have a basic algorithmic knowledge of a fucking bunch of horse shit that can or cannot be true. And that's funny too, like all these things referencing, like with Whitney Webb and how she's breaking everything down and the information scrubbed. But like, do we know even if that information's real? So,
Exactly. This might all just be a simulation. It might just be part of this game, right? And then we actually had someone on here, him, the Iceman, and he does a esoteric podcast too, and he's interviewed some interesting people, and he actually said that once you hit a certain threshold, I think depending on how much money is worth, but once you hit like $20 million, these people approach you and you're part of the club, right? You kind of work for them. It's like wrestling, right? Like once you hit a certain milestone on the indies, you get the contract and you just kind of follow the script. And that's the same for every single talking head on TV. There's no righteous guy, Elon Musk or RFK. These guys are all in the same club and they're all working together. It's like wrestling, right? I don't
think Elon Musk is a righteous guy, but I want to make one prediction, and if it comes true, but you guys are gonna have to pay attention, then I want to revisit our discussion about Elon Musk. I'm going to drop it after this, but one prediction that within the first 1 to 2 months, maybe immediately upon Trump taking office, he signs an executive order allowing U.S. or U.S.-based companies to lay territorial claims and to exploit the resources of celestial bodies, with a possible proviso that you can also bring tools and equipment for for defense and policing activities, which would violate all sorts of treaties that the United States isn't part of, but, sort of like, oh yeah, we'll agree to it. So if that happens, then we'll continue the conversation. If it doesn't, then PJ's right. That Elon is either a grifter or he's delusional.
Man, you know what though? But what PJ said, that 100-year jump in the next 10 years, we may very well have the moon laser we've always wanted. Who knows?
Well, luckily it'll be PJ's because he's a better Jew.
He's a Mazel Tov.
That's right. He's a Meshuggah and a mensch.
It's fun talking religion and things. Like, I'm home for Thanksgiving and the family left, and like I can go hang out with friends or I can go hang out with family, but my body's beat up, my fucking brain hurts. I'm, doing a lot, like working with a lot of people, trying to bring people up levels, and like all that pressures of building other people up. Like, I'm going to take this time and just kind of chill. So we're having this conversation. Like, one thing I was like, you know what I might do is like take a Ritalin and just read the Bible all the way through for the first time, like just to see what it says to me, because that's something I've never done. And that might be my weekend.
Do it, dude. I did the Bible. I read the Torah, the Quran. I read the most interesting thing that you'll ever read, and you can skip all that stuff, is just read the Bhagavad Gita.
Oh my God! Yeah.
The Bugs Bunny. Bagita?
Yes, the Bugs Bunny, the Vita Van Bugs Bunny. It's the Bhagavad Gita. It's Indian, Vedic Indian. But if you do read the Bible, so one of the reasons Garden of Doom exists is because I didn't know what the hell the Nephilim were, and they're right there in Genesis. Like they're right in the first chapter 6, and actually one of the guests on Iceman's show, The Reveal Reports, Gary Wayne, who's been on my show 4 times. He wrote the Genesis 6 conspiracy, the Nephilim. It's depending on how you spell it, it's Nephilim, or some people spell it Nefilim. But it's like the cherubim, the malakim, the seraphim, and then there's the Nephilim. They're basically demigods. But you read it and see what you make of it, because that's what took me down this rabbit hole. And like what I knew year 1 in Garden of Doom versus what I know in year 2 and 3 and 4 and now is so much different. And I don't know, there's a certain clarity that comes with it, but it's also terrible when you can see like everyone's point of view and the nuance everywhere. It's actually sort of cluttering.
You're being a genius hurts your brain, man, right? Knowledge will really just chip away at you.
Yeah, that's my
knowledge is power, baby. Knowledge is power. That's why, like, you see all these elites, right? They have all the money in the world. They have access to the money printers. So it's not money that they want. People are like, oh, they just do it for the money, follow the money. That's usually how I find out a lot of things. You kind of literally just follow the money, and you find the answers that you're looking for. But that's not what they want. They don't want the money. They want the power, because they already have all the money, right? So knowledge is power. So I think the more educated we are and the more we talk about these things and spread this and spread videos about it or podcasts or whatever, that also kind of like wakes people up, for lack of a better term. Even if it's all bullshit, it makes people think, That's another thing too. It pisses me off. Like in schools, they teach you how to memorize math. Like math is so easy to understand if you see the patterns, and if you can read music, or then you can do math, and vice versa. And then they never teach those things in school. They teach you what to think, not how to think. That's also another thing that I've done in the last few years. I've changed my life. Like whenever I think about something or go do the research, I break it down into first principles. This is what engineers do, right? Like, do you know what first principles are? This is what Elon. I don't like.
Pretend the audience doesn't.
He's really good at that kind of stuff. It's just breaking things down in first principles. Like you kind of like figure things out too. Because I mean, as humans, we're not dumb. We're just like brainwashed or socially engineered, for lack of a better term. We're just like we're told what to think, right? We're not taught how to think. And once you start doing that and applying that to every single area in your life, all these like things will just come to you. Knowledge, downloads. I fucking hate that term, but it's true. Like it'll just come to you, and you'll understand things better.
Yeah, dude, you're rocking my brain, brother. Do you ever knowledge is power and all these things? Do you ever feel a burden of responsibility having it and trying to pass it on? Because I'm kind of wondering with Garden of Doom, what does the wrestling fan trickle down? Like, so it's part of the Soup Network. Like, what kind of interaction do you get with wrestling fans? Because like, that's one thing with any, genre, is like a gigantic base of it is just not blind, but like at the really just looking at what it is. And then there's like always the outskirts and interesting people on the outside who love it for what it is, but also see it as this, and then become this community that is bonded by our love of wrestling, but at the same time can sit here and watch us jabberjaw about nonsense for an hour, and like be into it or offer something to the conversation or watch this. And then they start hitting me up and telling me things I didn't know. And now I'm looking that up. Knowledge is gained. I don't know what the question is, but I guess what is the kind of down effect you get from a wrestling fan?
I mean, the short answer is that I get almost no negative feedback. I get almost all positive feedback. And the show did not start off on the Wrestling Soup Network. It's just I have a friendship and a relationship with those guys, and then Mish had space and agreed to put the show on, and so that show now has 3 titles, but it's only one feed, so it just so happens to have grown into wrestling, and he's done that with a couple other shows because they have a whole network. So if you get 30 spots, you can pick whatever shows, and how many wrestling shows do you want to compete with your own show on your network? I don't know that that's what his thinking was. I think his thinking was just like, Jeff contributes. He's been a Patreon. He does, I do like legal briefs, them called Body Slam Briefs. And I've done some, shows with, they do Frank and Gus, which is just where they talk about non-wrestling, but sometimes they talk about wrestling. So when Joe hasn't been around, I've done them with, anyway, it was just a relationship thing. But the wrestling fans, there's crossover. The wrestling fans who listen to the Garden shows they like the variety. They trust me to take them places that either they don't know about and that they're curious about, or maybe they should give it a shot, or maybe they go, this show's garbage, I'm not listening to this episode. And that's fine too. I mean, if someone's not interested in my show about Sufism, I don't blame them. I didn't know what Sufism was until 2 years ago, and then it took me 2 years to find a guest.
But are they so disinterested that like, I'm going to watch the entire hour and a half of this dude talk about Sufism so I can tell him how much I hate it? Like, usually something doesn't, I would say majority of people have better things to do than watch something they don't want to like in its entirety, to go talk to the person about who made it, why they don't like it. More often than not, if that's something it's a swipe, really, right? It's a quick.
I know where you're coming from, and that's definitely a wrestling fan thing, hate watching and letting you know how much they hate what you're doing. No, I haven't gotten much of that. Maybe it's because I'm not successful enough, though.
Yeah, if you have me and PJ on here and it's like, oh, we want to get some hits, like, oh, tell the story about the threatening and hanging out with Cena afterwards and all the crazy shit you guys are like, that would be like PJ Black and EC3 talk about fucking weird parties at John Cena's house, and like that would get like a bunch of
John Cena on Epstein Island. That would be a heartbreak.
Oh, that hurt, man. I don't want to hear about that.
That would hurt. You just said it right there.
Remember Cena's sign like that? You know what that means, right? Okay.
No, what 4chan, or is it like a weird dick thing? I don't know. What
just okay? I don't know what.
There's something to it.
I mean, I know for a while it was a white power symbol also, but I mean, you don't get to usurp okay.
That was a fake white power symbol.
Exactly. You don't get to usurp okay. I mean, you just don't.
Anyways, coming back to what you said earlier, that makes me think of what was the guy, Tyler the Creator or something? He tweeted something the other day, and he's like, cyberbullying? Come on, that's just really stupid. That's like dumb. All you gotta do is switch off the phone and walk away. There's no such thing as cyberbullying. You're the fucking idiot.
Yeah,
he's right.
It's got kind of a point, right?
Yeah, that's not bullying. That's being mean. I mean, bullying is when someone's in your face and like pulls down your pants in front of the rest of your class and then takes your lunch money and your lunch, and punches you in the head.
Right. What is cyberbullying? What is cyberbullying? Someone that sends some nasty words to you. What was that old saying? This saying is also scrapped from the internet. My parents would tell me this shit all the time. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but working on this new generation, that words like affect them so much. It's crazy. It blows my mind.
Yeah. Words are not violence. Violence is violence.
As much as you could say too, and I say this is like, man, I don't give a shit what anybody says. There are a time or two where if somebody hits you in the right spot, or you didn't expect it, or you see it, it's like, oh man, my fuck. What did I?
Of course. And there's also things that there's no recovery from. I mean, there's certain terms that you cannot prove that negative. You can't wipe it off yourself. Now, me, I'm nobody. It doesn't matter. But you guys are semi-public figures. So if that happens to you, it could be very deleterious. But at the same time, I think we're all immature enough or mature enough to have all lived through it ourselves at this point. Most people that have any degree of rationality know that if it happened on Twitter or the internet, you can't just take it at face value that, that we're all not just one thing.
I think vast majority, like very much nothing can really affect me on a personal basis to people I don't know, especially people I don't respect.
Well,
but what would upset like maybe PJ or myself is that we're talking about information, and he talks about his nephew. Let me look something up. I'm going to Google it. Okay, I have the base knowledge of it. But then hypothetically, if there are a plethora of people negatively talking about you and somebody, oh, I just met this chick at yoga. You're a wrestler. That's cool. Yeah. What's your name? Oh, I'm wrestle EC3. Oh, that's cool. I'm like, hey, maybe we can get coffee later. Yeah, that'd be great. She goes and does a Google search of EC3 and sees like some fucking ranting or raving or these negative articles or like a bunch of bullshit made up. That is effective. Like, this guy's kind of a loser. I don't want to talk to him. You know what I mean? So
yeah, but you can also play that card, be like, hey, I play the bad guy on TV. That's just my character. That's what I did with NXT. They wanted me to be a coach there. And they were like, they asked me, they're like, are you clean? And I was like, yeah, I'm drug and alcohol free, baby. And they were like, no, are you clean on the internet? And I was like, what does that even mean? They never called me back. So I guess I wasn't clean on the internet.
I'm sure you got a fucking pic flown around of a dick or two.
I did tell him, I was like, look, I just play the character online. The real me, the real PJ will never, ever put his real thoughts online. Those are all just character stuff.
Yeah.
Who's PJ Black?
Just gaslight gaslighters.
You're Justin Gabriel. Justin Gabriel's clean.
Yeah, that guy's dead too.
Yeah,
what an angel, Justin Gabriel. Dude, he was awesome.
Exactly. And angels resurrect, right?
Yeah, I think he's in heaven now. He might make a little comeback. I don't know.
Hey, we're talking about NWA a little bit, and we're talking about, our past runs. Were you out with us when current and awesome, totally awesome dude, so happy to see him succeed, Tom Latimer, even though he beat me, so I still hate him, but one of the best dudes we know. We were out and we were at a bar and Wyndham was there, and Wyndham's like, nobody can ever make me tap out, man. And then that was like Tom in his darker days. Like he kind of came up behind him and he slapped him in a chokehold, and like Wyndham wouldn't tap and he was laughing, and then he passed out, but fell face first, whap, onto the floor of this bar. Were you there for that?
I was not, but
would have been on the road by then. Yeah, so like Wyndham like passes out, flat face bumps on this bar, boom, pool blood.
Oh no.
We're just like, dude, sobered up, like, oh my God, like we just killed Wyndham. This is not gonna be good. What are we gonna tell the code? What are we gonna do? And he's laying there, and then like it's like we should call the cop. And Wyndham pops up like he would as Bray with his big grin on his face, his nose flat as a pancake, blood, just laughing his ass off. Hell, you can't make me tap out, see? That was one of our wild nights. I didn't know if you were there for that.
Wait, were you, remember his, right before he got married, his bachelor's party, the bus that he rented? Were you there?
Yeah, I remember. The only clear memory I have of that is Tavita, like we're at that bar in St. Pete, and then walk outside, and I just see Tavita's like so like wasted, and he just ran away. Fucking like into nowhere. I'm like, T just ran into the ether, man. He's gone forever.
But
I do.
That
bachelor party was legit.
That was something else.
Is Tavita someone that we would know about?
Wyndham always tells the exact same story from that night. I can't tell it on air, but I'll tell you later.
Tavita was Donnie Marlowe. He's part of the bloodline now.
That's awesome.
I don't remember their names.
Is it Tom?
Yeah, Tom.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's funny. He ran away. Okay. All right. So
weird. Dude, that night was so much fun. God, we had
Tom Latimer back when he was, under the name Bram. He was gigantic. I mean, now he's slimmed down to do like fashion model kind of stuff. He's like
he looks amazing. Wow, he looks fucking incredible. I can't wait to wrestle you two dudes. I'm gonna come back strong.
Let's go, man. I'd love to have you.
That's right. Was our last match? We have a former NWA heavyweight champion here and a former Impact heavyweight champion. Were you Impact or TNA? You were Impact, right?
It was the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, but they branded it Impact at the time.
Perfect. The false choice. It was both. So yeah, there you go. And you were the grand champion too, right?
Yeah, I guess if that doesn't mean shit. But
everything means something.
I guess.
I wrestled him for that title. I wrestled you for that title in TNA.
I was just going to talk about that because one thing about my run in FCW, like I never got to the top guys status. I was kind of always like a mid card or tag team or whatever. But like PJ, like you come in and you're FCW champion. Our champions were like you and Heath and like, dude, just studs. And I never got to like work at that level with you guys. And then full circle comes around. You have your WWE run, but you come back and you're an Impact and I'm the fucking champion. And they're like, you guys got 12 minutes. And we barely like called anything, and it was fucking awesome. And I remember just like, this is what it's supposed to be like. So that was cool for me.
Yeah, me too. I love watching that match. That's sick. I won the King of the Mountain title the next day.
Very nice. Do we have time for Antarctica? I haven't been keeping track of time. Sorry.
I definitely want to. Let's do a part 2 of this.
Yeah, I'd love to, because I want to leave you guys with another story before we go.
Okay. Yeah. The
Harking
floor is
back.
yours, sir.
All right. Because I'm in my childhood home with my parents, right? And because this is the garden, right? We can talk about these sort of things. We can talk about the spiritual realm.
Absolutely.
So like after Wyndham passed, we went to the funeral, I get misty talking about it. Tough time. I went back to Florida and I went to my buddy's wedding on the beach, and a couple wrestlers there. Noticeably, Ricky Morton was there. And I have this fucked up left foot from a bad injury, so it looks horrible. And I remember Ricky Morton was making fun of me for being barefoot on the beach at this wedding. Whatever, comes into play later. But come back home, I'm sitting here, and my sister's girlfriend is a very high-level medium, so in the spiritual realm. And like she did I was very hesitant about this kind of stuff until she did a reading, and there was like, wow, there's something here. I mean, I don't know what it is, but this is crazy, the amount you know. So I believe I give everything the integrity of at least like a chance, right? So she's kind of converting me, but I'm sitting over here and she goes, have you felt a presence lately? Like past couple of days? I was like, you know what? Actually, kind of, maybe a little bit, nothing too big or something like that. She's like, no, because there's a guy who's been staring, like he's right over there in the window and he's like trying to talk to you. And I'm like, well, what does he look like? She's like, hard to describe. Like he looks scary, but like really nice. So I pull out my phone, pull up a picture of Bray, put it up there. She's like, that's him. And she knows jack shit about wrestling. She's not working a con here. She doesn't know anything about anything. I'm like, oh shit, of course Wyndham's here visiting me as a ghost. Classic fucking Wyndham. What do you want, man? What can I help you with? But I'm going to need some proof of life. And so she's communicating this thing, and she's like, oh, he's laughing at some old man laughing at your foot. And I'm like, holy shit. So he's watching Ricky Morton fucking bury my foot. Cool. And I'm like, I'm going to need some more. And she's like, well, he's laughing at the fact he burnt your chicken. And I go, yeah, well, I definitely burnt my chicken. And there's like a couple of instances where one of them's like, I see this giant cross like in a hoop or something like that. And by this time I'm texting his sister, Micah. You're not gonna believe this, but I'm with a medium and Wyndham's here. She's like, no shit, we're at a football game at his high school honoring his life. Like, oh, classic, great, cool. And so I tell her about the visions, and then I tell her about the cross, and she's like, well, here's a picture of Bo with his earring in his right ear that looks as though described by the thing. There was like two kind of like more proof of life, and I wish I could remember verbatim off the top of my head, but like interesting enough. But there was the last one that was kind of the kicker. And she goes, I'm seeing like a performance. It looks like it's karaoke, but it's not like at a karaoke bar. It looks like, people are just singing karaoke. So I shoot that over to Micah, and she sends me a video back. Well, here's his kids today, and they were all singing karaoke before they went to the game. And I'm like, oh, my mind's fucking blown. This is crazy. And so I'm like, what is the reason of him being here or something like that? And I guess because I'm with the medium, it was kind of for me to communicate to them that he's okay. And that's my Wyndham visiting me as a ghost story. So I thought
that was awesome.
That was beautiful. Really was. I mean, I had to know the man, but when he died, I cried. I don't know what to say. I mean, that doesn't happen a lot. Anyway, so great story, stuck the landing. Obviously, you're welcome back, and we can talk about Antarctica and lighten things up a little bit. It looks like a couple misty-eyed tough guys here. So I think we'll leave it at that. So PJ, usually you leave us with a little anecdote. Are you feeling up to it, or do you want to pass this time?
What do you got in mind?
Oh, I don't know. Usually you have some sort of tale from the road or some sort of anecdote about the guest.
I always do. I always tell a little story like he did, but that was freaking awesome. We should
You
just
can't top that. I'm sorry. Even
We'll
you
be back for round 2. Yeah, we'll be back for round 2.
Yeah.
I have a list of notes I have to go over before we talk again. So
excellent.
Guys,
all right, listen. Tons of thank yous to EC3. Obviously, you can find them under. Well, actually, why don't you tell people if you want to be found and follow where they can find you other than NWA? But
I think I've been shadow banned. I think I've been shadow banned on Instagram since the pandemic. But at the real EC3, I still post there. Now that Twitter's X, I'm kind of getting back into that game at the real EC3. Check out what we're doing with Exodus Pro. So that is a territory in a sense of what the NWA is. So I'm running that, which means I have all the power and the creative know-how. And what we're doing is really cool with the wrestling. So love to have PJ fucking come 450 one of the kids in the future when he's up to it. But Exodus Pro Wrestling, exoprowrestling.com or Exodus on the handles. Check me out at NWA. Give it, even if you don't watch the show on X, give a couple comments when we're commenting about it, because the algorithm boost is helping us secure a multi-million-dollar deal. So that helps us out.
All right.
What a salesman.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely going to look for both those things, follow, and I generally give NWA a like, but I think I'll start making more comments then.
Just hit the shit. I'll comment, you comment to me, and then we'll just talk a little bit of fucking weird shit back and forth, and then
I'm all about it. Just let me know when I'm being a pest. That's fine.
On Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter and the gram. Twitter for the show, though, for sure.
All right. Excellent. Dr. Black, where can they find you if you want to be found? And I know you sort of do, but not so much, but a little.
Yeah, wherever. Just, put it in the Google. It knows everything. Or ChatGPT.
He's at Darewolf. It's like 666 or something.
333.
Was it?
333.
Master Builder.
Well,
Master Builder.
Master Builder. Well, okay. Yeah, half of 666. There you go. All right. And for me, listen, if you want wrestling nonsense, it's at Dose Evil. If you want a combination of nonsense, at Icarus Fell MD. But don't choose. Just follow both and subscribe to Garden of Doom, and you'll get Garden of Doom, Garden Views. And this show, G.o.D. presents The Book of Black. Looking forward to having EC3 on again. We're looking forward to future guests, and we are thankful for our past guests. So everyone, thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this. I think you definitely heard a different side of, everyone here except for maybe me. And that's okay, because nobody cares about me. We're here for the celebs. So thanks, guys. Have a great night. Everyone, we're recording this right on Thanksgiving Eve. So for all of you, you'll probably hear it after Thanksgiving, but have a happy Thanksgiving, healthy, and don't forget what the holidays actually are. All right, all. Take care.
For more episodes of Garden of Doom, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on the Wrestling Soup Network, available on all major podcast platforms. Garden of Doom is a weekly show hosted by Jeff Lippman and Dr. PJ Black. Follow Jeff Lippman on X at Dose Evil and follow Dr. PJ Black at Darewolf333.